It's now time for Inside Sports Talk Radio with hosts Ian Rollins and Earl Baisden. Brought to you by Game Time, the Argus Group, Windows Group of Companies, Colonial Group International, Global Atlantic Financial Group, and Fit for Life with Dave Wolf. Let's now go live with Ian Rollins and Earl Baisden.
And good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Inside Sports Talk Radio on this Monday. It is February 4th, 2019. Good afternoon, Sir Baisden.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. All is well with you?
Oh, that's great, man.
How was your weekend?
Productive, let's put it like that. Productive.
Yeah, productive?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Any things that stood out on the weekend aside from the boring Super Bowl?
Well, I can't comment on the boring Super Bowl because I didn't see it.
Oh, you knew in advance? You got a copy?
Yeah. I had the Patriots script ahead of time, so they told me not to watch it.
Okay.
But interesting weekend. I got a chance to sit down and have an interview with Alia Atkinson, the world record holder in breaststroke from Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the difficulties coming up under the umbrella of Usain Bolt. She's a swimmer.
Right.
Just talking about, Usain was to the world kind of overshadows anything that Jamaicans do in sport, and in Jamaica swimming is not as popular, but it's getting there.
Right.
Just growing up under those guidelines, but you have to step out and try to make a name for yourself. She also talked about the fact that there's still a big divide when it comes to females and males in sport. Obviously, the males are getting all the accolades and all the coverage. She drew reference to Asafa Powell and Fraser Price. The female sprinter who's doing well from Jamaica. Asafa Powell's doing well, but all the attention goes to the guys.
Yeah,
just talking about generalizing things and trying to compare them to Bermuda and the rest of the Caribbean. So that was rather interesting. Some interesting results in football. Obviously, you had Janai Parent-Chief winning a high jump event at Texas Tech, setting an indoor record for that particular meet, 2.12 meters, I believe. And two people qualified met the Carifta standard this week. One being Terrence Armstrong's son, competing in New Jersey at an indoor track meet. He met the qualifying standard for the under 17 boys 1500 and 3000. And at the stadium on Saturday, John Dal Cumberbatch met the qualifying standard for the boys under 25,000 meters. So you have 4 people thus far met the qualifying standard, and pretty much Donna Rayner and her team are hoping that plenty more meet the qualifying standard for 2019 Carifta Games. So, and we're eagerly waiting the announcement for the Carifta Swimming Championship team. Obviously, there's some challenges there when it comes to the belongers issue. It's, to be honest, is not an issue that I would have even dreamt to ask someone who's not from Bermuda about a Bermuda issue, putting that person on the spot. But others decide to do that. Is that person's opinion swayed by the way the question's asked? Maybe. But for someone who doesn't understand what's going on, and I think it's a bit unfair to that individual that will be the highlight of that person's visit to Bermuda. So, but yeah, just plenty of netball, plenty of rugby. It was a productive weekend.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So, with that said, lineup of guests, since you mentioned netball, we'll have the president of the Bermuda Netball Association, Kamel Evans, joining us in the studio today. Hoping in about another 10 or 15 minutes, give us an update on how things are progressing in the second half of the season of netball. And then we'll have Shakir Warner. She is the population health specialist who will be joining Dave Wolf in the health and fitness segment. That's at 1:15. It's kind of interesting what they're going to be discussing today. The topic will take place regarding the workplace, the wellness trends for 2019. As you all know, wellness is important within the business sector. People are taking the extra steps and precautions of taking care of themselves and raising the bars. No more just going to school and say, "Oh, I'll do gym here and there," and as we get older, just go by the wayside.
Right.
So we're going to be sharing some information and get those involved in better, healthy lifestyles. Be a part of it. So that's good. And also, Mr. Cal Simons, the former member of the Bermuda Department of Youth and Sports. Bermuda Department of Youth and Sports. He's coming in to discuss things of track and field events that are coming up for 2019. He'll join us in the studio. And of course, our lines are always open for any callers to give us a call on topics that they like to discuss. Just as we talked earlier regarding the 53rd annual Super Bowl. Very disappointing Super Bowl. I think that people were looking for a result of last year and the comparison, because both teams were high flying on offense. So it came down to the old football game of defensive football. And credit to the Patriots, it's their 6th Super Bowl championship. The question now remains, is New England the state, the Mecca state of sports? Meaning you got the New England Patriots, the Boston Celtics, the Boston Red Sox, the Boston Bruins. And I think this dates back to 2005 or 2002, I think it is. Those 4 teams, professional teams, all won their respective World Cup, well, I can't say World Cup, championships,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
In their sport. Is New England now the state of Mecca sports?
Well, they won the World Series.
Yep.
They won the Super Bowl.
Correct.
I guess you have to wait to see what the Bruins will do.
But no, the Bruins won the Stanley Cup. I think it was in 2011. I could be wrong, but it was between 2008 and 2011. They won the Stanley Cup.
Right.
And so you got that. Like you said, the Patriots.
Right.
The Red Sox.
Right.
The Celtics. Are they the team? It's not the team. It's New England, the state.
Well, and putting it that way, yeah, you could consider it now, of this decade, They've dominated. At least one of their teams have dominated at some point during the decade, so you can't argue that point.
No, you can't.
You know, so that's where the people from Boston will be sticking their chest out and saying, well, we were able to at one point in time in this decade hold 4 of the major event trophies from
North American sports.
Yeah,
no, you're absolutely correct.
Sports,
You're right. You're right about that. Now, Tom Brady says in the interview last night, it was just a good question. The reporter said, "Tom, you're 41 years old, 6 Stanley Cups, 6 Super Bowl rings. There's word that you want to retire at the age of 45. That's another 4 years." And she's like, "Well, what do you have to prove?" And he says, "Look at this. Meaning celebrations, right? You want all this." It's a good question. It's a good answer. But at 41, you're already 41. Yes, you have your offensive line. Yes, he has a nutritionist. Yes, he has a personal trainer. Remember Joe Theismann? When he got knocked out by Lawrence Taylor back in the 80s? His career was done, right? I don't wish that on anyone.
Right.
But the fact is, he's 41. You're not going to recover if he has an injury that fast.
Right.
And the career will be done. What does he have to prove? Do you?
The problem now is that the game has changed so much. If you get sweat on the quarterback, you get a flag nowadays.
Yes.
So
you're saying that prolongs the career?
Yeah.
I see where you're going.
Yeah. I mean, watching a bit of the highlights this morning, he fumbled his first possession. No, he got intercepted.
First pass.
Then it was a fumble where the guy knocked the ball out of his hand. But I don't think anybody touched him for the rest of the game.
Credit to his offensive line.
Yeah. So if guys, one thing, and this goes back to when Joe Montana and Phil Simms were playing, and they were saying then that if your front line is happy, if you're the man that's doing the work and they're happy, nobody's going to touch you, because they're not going to let nobody touch you. But if there's disgruntled, if you're not taking care of those guys, trust me, it'll be some laying down. It'll be some laying down. But I think what Bill Belichick has been able to do over the last number of years is make sure that no one is stand out alone in the team. He makes sure that you have leaders and they understand their role and the followers understand their role, and no one is bigger than the team. So if you look at it, I mean, there's a lot of people talking about who should have been the MVP last night, so forth and so forth. But when was the last time? When was the last time a wide receiver or somebody playing in that position was the MVP?
I could be wrong, but I think it was Jerry Rice when he was playing for 49ers. But I think it was shared at that time. It was Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. That game was in New Orleans when they destroyed.
It's usually a quarterback or a running back.
Yeah, yeah. So you're right about that. So credit to the receiver.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he made some spectacular catches and turned it into yardage afterwards.
But it's interesting how when you said people were upset about the end result, I guess 13-3. But when you look at it, if a team's slinging all year, you get to the biggest game of the season, the final game, you don't expect them to continue the same thing, only because it's now stakes are different. We already got through all the other stuff. Now it's, oh man, do we bait them because we know that's what they're waiting for, or how do you manage that out? How do you, if you look at the last year's Super Bowl, Philly had nothing to lose, so it was always run and gun and sling it out there. Let's see what happens. You know what I mean?
You're right.
The Rams have been putting up numbers all season, just like Kansas City, putting up big numbers all season. You get to the final leg, and you got 2 weeks to prepare, and a lot goes through game plan. Should we not?
Right.
What are their DBs like?
Right.
Okay, their DB is a little faster than our wide receivers, so we can't always throw it down the field. We have to. So your game plan changes. And
it's tweaked. You're
yeah,
right. You're
and
correct.
then because I've been running an L shape to a Z all season, now you just want me to run the L. How much do I remember of that? Because I'm gonna, you know what I mean. So it's a lot of rhythm and timing that changes. I mean, they are professionals, but hey, it's got to be a plan which has worked for you all season.
I also think that since you mentioned that regarding a planning, what I'm going to in this is that Todd Gurley, the running back for the Rams, I think his injury was more severe than they were reporting because he didn't really play, and you know he's a running back and it's your knee, which obviously you need for running, was more severe, and so it didn't fool the Patriots, and they probably had their scouts out there looking at it when they played in the NFC Championship, like, okay, this guy's not really healthy, you know, 2 weeks is really not gonna give him enough time to recoup because of the performance he did in the NFC Championship. With that said, they honed in on that, and it should, right?
Yeah.
I just know how Belichick does that. Let's put it down. He's probably the best NFL coach ever. It was then, or previously, it was Green Bay coach
Mike.
No, not Mike. He came out in the 60s and 70s. I forget his name. Vince Lombardi. The trophy named after him. I should know that. The Vince Lombardi trophy. They said he was the man of football. Wow. Belichick's now won 6. Not bad, huh?
Yeah.
He may be the man of football. Yeah. Even if the Spygate, no, right?
Those type of things will overshadow.
Oh yeah.
When looking back at his career, because obviously, I you know, to be honest, most people were waiting for some sort of scandal to come out.
Yeah.
You know, you always wait for something to come out, or they were spying, or they got their hands on the playbook, but if you look at it, you know, you and I were talking last week about how the Rams would want revenge.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know,
Said that.
but it never materialized because although, you see, the Rams have been unsettled for so many years. They've been Oakland. They've been all over the place.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Rams.
Yeah. They've been all over the place. So when that team lost to New England years ago, how many of those guys are passionate enough to say it's not going to happen this time around? Although you're playing for them, are you? You know what I mean? Yeah. Are you feeling that anger? Are you feeling that the fans will, who have followed the Rams, but do those players feel the same way?
No.
No.
Yeah, you're right. I got it. Well, again, it's closed chapter now. The 53rd annual Super Bowl is done. I can't remember where it's going to be played. Excuse me. Next year, I got to research it. It's obviously on the site, but I forgot the name of the destination. Maybe in Arizona. I'm not too sure. But again, a disappointing one because I was expecting high flying offense from the Rams, and it just didn't
They were
materialize.
high flying, just missing.
I like the way you worded that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just missed it.
Just missed it.
Okay. Well, let's take our first commercial break, and our first guest in studio will be the president of the Bermuda Netball Association, Kamal Evans. We're gonna pay some bills, and be back after this. And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. As we said, going to commercial break, that we will have Kamal Evans, president of the Netball Association, joining us. The good news is that she'll be joining us every other Monday, giving us updates on her progress with the Netball Association. Good afternoon to you, ma'am. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm good, thank you.
You look a little tired.
Very tired.
Must have been Super Bowl night, huh?
It was.
And then turned around and did some other things early this morning, like 8 o'clock being in Dockyard.
Yes, very much so. But, you know, it all comes with the territory.
Comes
so.
with territory. You're loving it then.
It's a strong choice of words.
I had a friend of mine on the weekend ask me, they brought me up to date on what progress, what is happening at the netball courts. Apparently there was some people destruction, making some
constant vandalism.
again.
It's unfortunate that we have to start on such a sour note, but some person or persons continue to deface the property. You know, we do have cameras in place there, which they are aware of. So what they're doing now is either standing up on the side of the road or standing up on up the top of the fence and just throwing paint cans down onto the courts.
What do we get out of something like that? It's not funny, but what do we get out of it? It's nothing.
It actually is laughable, because it's to the point where it's laughable because it's really insanity as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what they get out of it. Hopefully, you know, we can get the public to get behind us, and anybody that's driving across at any time, just just take a peep. And I think that the awareness is getting out there, because I'm finding more people are actually stopping me and saying, every time I go past there, I'm looking out, or but we're going to hopefully try and put some other things in place to see if we can expedite the process of trying to find out who's doing this, because it's really costing the government a lot of money. It's the government's property.
Right.
While it puts a damper on us utilizing the facility, obviously, because if you look and you drive past, it's looking beautiful down there. It's a lot of work that's been done to try and enhance the atmosphere for the players in general, and it's a shame that somebody seems to want to continuously do this. It's I don't know. It's just here. It's an issue, and I can let you know that AFNA, the America's Federation of Netball, the president reached out to me, and she's constantly giving words of encouragement. They did send a letter showing support and solidarity behind us in reference to what we are experiencing here, and just continuously giving positive feedback to say keep pressing on, don't let this deter you, keep moving forward with the sport, because we have seen so many improvements with netball here locally, and it's being recognized by our affiliate countries as well.
Wow, it's sad. It's been going on now, I think, over a year and a half.
Yes.
That's sad. That's really, really sad. If that's said, let's move on a positive note. The second half of the season is underway in 2019. It's February already. How are things progressing going forward with you guys?
Well, one thing I can say is that the league has been fairly competitive all the way through. There's only probably one team that is dominating, and that's in the under 16 league, Storm Lightning. They are undefeated thus far through the entire season. When we go down to under 12s, which is more development league, we are seeing some fierce competition there. Coaches and clubs are obviously putting in a lot more work trying to develop these youngsters, because the games go back and forth. It's not like you can say that it's definitely going to be this team that's going to win. So it's been a real pleasure to see. And when you come up to the senior, it's like a 3-horse race pretty much. You have the Phoenix Heat, who have been undefeated for several years now. Have the likes of Danielle Rayner, who's back off of injury and really dominating the shooting circle. We have the Tigers, Lindo's Tigers, and we have Storm Thunder, which is the youngest team actually in our senior league. They are pretty much battling back and forth between first, second, and third, and you'll see them kind of flip-flopping from who's first, who's second, who's third, and there have been some ties, like 3-way ties, and but it just comes down to the goal difference.
Yeah. Well, you've seen Danielle come back with a vengeance. Obviously, missing the first half of the season.
Yeah.
She comes out, she scores 76, 70 odd, and then this weekend 68.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Heat losing to Lindo's early in the season, and then avenging in a rematch or replay or makeup match. But looking at the development of getting to that senior level, how have things progressed over the last few years? Because we've seen that natural progression, and we now see some of even those who could be possibly still playing under 16 in that senior league.
Well, that's one of the main things that we've been pushing for years now. A lot of emphasis is in sporting around the island. A lot of emphasis is put into the senior leagues, the senior players. And while I think it's a great investment as far as we are concerned at Bermuda Netball Association, we're trying to push from grassroots through. We're trying to help enhance and create a culture of players wanting to play netball, players wanting to play for their country. So we're really pushing the development of the youngsters, and they're loving and enjoying the sport. So you can see them pushing through and do well. And one of the things we did put in place for this year's league is that we have an under-16 national team that is in training that will be heading down to Antigua and Barbuda for the Jean Pierre tournament, which is a tournament that we've been attending for years now. And basically before we used to have under-16 players that used to only be allowed to play up 2 matches.
Right.
But we made an amendment to the rule to give them a little bit more competition, and some teams are taking full advantage of it, and you know, it's our hope that others will come on board because they can only benefit from playing up in the senior league. They can play any amount of senior league games without penalty, without them, because before, if they played 2, they had to stay up.
Yeah, right.
But now it's without penalty because we want to try to develop them. We want to be able to give these young ladies the opportunity to do well amongst their peers, and then put them in an environment and challenge them. I think that, you know, that's where you get the best of players, when they are in environments where they can see success and have success while still challenging them. And I think that that's a really good tool to use to try and develop.
You talked about the president of the region sending you messages and so forth, but let's talk a little bit about that at the national level, because we've seen now that we're ranked.
Yes.
Let's go back to that development age group, and how are we looking as far as getting some of them outside of the Jean Pierre? Did I say it right?
Yeah,
Jean Pierre. Because I know I get ridiculed sometimes.
That's fine.
But how are we looking to make sure that not only the 16s but the 12s, because we want to make sure that they see some light at the end of the tunnel, not just waiting 4 years kind of thing to get to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's Ms. Marva Bernard, who is the president of AFNA, and there's a lot of work that's being done to create competitive tournaments, even right down to under 12s.
Oh, okay.
And they have a high school tournament that was the first annual, that was last year. Unfortunately, we did not meet the requirements for the rules, because basically while we have a large netball community, it's definitely not as large within the schools where you can say you can field a really competitive team from either just a Cedar Ridge or just a Berkeley or just the BHS.
Right.
So we would have to have a combined team, but the rules stipulated that they had to attend that one specific school. They do recognize that our younger teams, from what they've seen, the other regions, USA, Canada, they realize that our strong point is our youth, and they see a lot of potential in them. And so they said that's where the focus should be. So they are having several tournaments that they are putting on and coming into wax, and they made an amendment to the rule, specifically for countries like Bermuda, so that we can actually enter a combined team. It would just be that they show proof that they're still in high school.
Right.
Because I said we may have like 2 players at this school, we might have another 4 at another, and it's very costly for us to go and attend these tournaments. So we can't attend these tournaments and pay out a lot of money and just be sending anyone down there. So for us, our biggest thing is always to get more bang for our buck.
Are we reaping the benefits of, some years ago you guys had the American coaches come down, you had the Scottish coaches come down. Are we seeing the benefits of that was put in place some time ago nowadays?
Yeah, I think we are seeing the benefits. I can remember back about, I want to say maybe 7 years ago, when I was coaching, and it might have been even about 10 years ago, when we brought some people down that are coaching courses and things like that. So what is happening is that nucleus of players that were able to get that knowledge, get that extra knowledge as far as coaching aspects, coaching philosophies, different things to be attempting and trying, are coaches now. So we pretty much get it. We get where we have to go. I know specifically, taking off my presidential hat and putting on my club hat, my club in particular, because they're, we're trying to look to offer some courses to bring down some coaches and to definitely bring down some umpires, because the game is getting that much more competitive that we need our umpires to be up to par. And we don't have a problem attending any coaching course, because the way I feel is that coaching is coaching. You can pick out different points and different aspects no matter what sport it is and apply it specifically to your sport. I attend several of the football coaching courses, have attended several of the football coaching courses here in Bermuda, along with the Rugby Association when they've brought down coaches and things like that. And we've just kind of tempered our programs in reference to what we like and what we see works and what works well for us, but while just adjusting it to our sport. So it's our hope to definitely try and offer that.
We definitely see parental involvement, especially with these girls. How much of a benefit is that, having that support right there at the courts, even during training?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. I mean, I can speak for myself. I mean, I'm a mother of a player, not just a mother coach, and we have many mother-daughter duos down there. And I think that a lot of the positive that's going on down there, we're having more parents coming back to the sport. I've had a few people that have been there in the past and stopped us, like, you know, I want to get involved any way that I can. And that's a positive for me. I think it speaks volumes to the direction that we are heading, whether it be me in the presidential seat or whomever. Hopefully, you know, what has been happening over the past few years can be something that can inject something into the next lot of people that come in. And so the more people we get involved, the more the sport will grow. So we try to create a very family-friendly, positive environment where not only having mothers, but we're getting more fathers down there that are seeing that, you know, a lot of positive is going on down there. One of the other things is that we partnered with Digicel, and we just had our first ever Girl Strong program, which was extremely well attended. It was, we had approximately about 80 players from under 16 and under 12s that attended. And for us, it was fantastic. And we had Shakobi Basin and Terry and Doyle who came and spoke to the young ladies in separate groups, and also had a little bit of fun and things like that, in order for these ladies to realize that, you know what, despite what I'm going through, despite my circumstances, that there is a somewhere that I can go and somewhere that I can be and feel comfortable just being me. And that's the type of environment that we want to create and help to push these young ladies in.
You mentioned that the question regarding how things are going forth with your programs now. Since you've been the president, what strengths have you seen under your watch, and where you look to improve?
Well, one thing I know that is not a one-man show, so I don't like to say I am me. I definitely like to say
your management team.
I definitely like to say that there's a huge team effort that goes on behind the scenes. Fortunate and unfortunate, those people that are behind the scenes are wearing multiple hats. So we are really stretched. But I can say that as a collective, this is probably one of my most diverse consoles that I've seen, meaning like we have just about one person representing each club within the console, which makes a huge difference. So we continuously encourage those to come on board, so that, you know, it doesn't look like, you know, we're trying to run everything, because we're really not. We're just trying to push the sport. We're just trying to, you know, do whatever we can for the next generation of players. And I think that I can honestly say from my club perspective, just about every single last one of them are involved at the club level as well as the console level. So it can seem to appear to be one way, but that's just kind of, I think, the culture that was put in us with where we came from.
Looking at the recently All-Star netball, you had quite a few, especially primary school, quite a few of those young ladies that don't play netball on a regular basis, but you could see that they've had the fundamentals, they've had encouraging them to get involved. How difficult has that process been?
Well, we reach out to everyone. We go up to them and say, wow, she has so much potential. Obviously, we're competing and we're fighting with the dance, and we're now competing and fighting with football, whereas they definitely weren't cutting into our time.
Right.
But I'm a person for sport in general, so I believe that everybody should present their program as best they can. But we encourage them to come down and let them know that netball gives you so many other fundamental things that other sports may not. That I feel that when you have a multifaceted athlete, right, there's things work hand in hand, right? So you might have something that they offer here that can benefit you there. So we continue to still encourage them. Obviously, we're involved in the BSSF school programs, and so we're constantly reaching out to get those players to come and be a part of the Bermuda Netball Association. And I think we're getting there.
Oh, okay. We're going to take a commercial break.
All
right, and when we come back, we can wrap it up because we have news at 1 o'clock. But let's take a commercial break and we'll wrap up when we come back with you.
Sounds great.
Inside Sports Talk Radio. Inside Sports Talk Radio on Power 95 FM with host Ian Rose and co-host Earl Bayston.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio on this Monday, February 4th. Again, joining us in studio is the president of the Bermuda Netball Association, Kamal Evans. Kamal, the sport it could be so much positive things coming out of this sport. We always hear and we often hear about the negative side, but what are some of the things that have brought you personally joy of seeing young ladies compete week in and week out, smiles on their faces, win, lose or draw?
For me, it's like, it's almost like you have this baby and you birth this baby, right? And my love for netball has been there. I've been playing the sport since I was 9 years old. I've always been a believer that anyone, you can only have a legacy if you naturally progress through whatever it is that you're doing. So to see these young ladies develop from coming and could barely catch and could barely have their footwork down to going to under 16s where they're being competitive, where they're being maybe too competitive, they now have to be in the senior league, and to see it kind of coming across the board, it really warms my heart, because it means that it's not just a one person that's invested in the sport. It means that it's a collective of persons that have dedicated their time and energy and years.
Right.
This is not just like, I'm just going to be here, I've been here for a year, I've been here for 2 years. Majority of the people that are involved in the sport of netball have been there for years. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. So, you know, for us to just be able to sit back and see the growth and see these young ladies grow athletically, to see them grow as young women, to see them become mothers themselves, it's just a really amazing thing to watch. And then still go away and then come back to the sport is even more of a beautiful thing for us to see. And yeah, I think that a lot of us now are definitely reaping the rewards of that.
You guys have had some frustration this season weather-wise. Where you get a day started, and then as the day progresses, it has to stop and so forth. But as an organization, putting together makeup games and all that, how difficult is that? Because you're also thinking of family life, you know, especially the senior ladies, they have, you know, children and so forth. Putting those makeup matches, how stressful is that as a committee?
It's stressful. It's hugely stressful, and it also takes away from some of our club's training days. So when we have the Bernards Park Napo facility, and just about every single team trains there every single day of the week.
Right.
So we have some clubs that have to suffer every single Monday, where they're not able to have their junior coaching programs and, you know, their senior coaching programs, and they're losing that day of coaching.
Right.
It just makes for a really, really long week and a really, really long season. Even despite the fact that, okay, yeah, we play on a Saturday, but when you have to have a makeup match and then you got a match on Monday, you're training maybe twice a week, then you're playing again on a Saturday, it's a major, I mean, my life is not my own. I'm definitely going to say that, because apart from being the president, I'm also assisting with the under 16 national team. So, and the club life. So we're kind of like really, really stretched. And I'll probably be glad when the season finishes, to be honest. Just so that I could get a little bit of a breather, but it's not that much of a breather, because we also have some national. We have summer league, and we have something that's in the works for senior women, as well as our fundraising efforts do not stop. So we kick into full gear once the league is finished, which we can dedicate a little bit more time to do.
Okay. Any final comments before we wrap up?
Well, I'd just like to give a big shout out to my team, the Bermuda Council, Bermuda Netball Association Council. I also want to wish the best to Nabila Nasir, who flew out with Council Representative Dion Doling today, heading over to WASP's Netball Club, where she'll be training for a week under the professional, semi-professional club, training with University English under 21 teams, as well as their women's senior team. So I'd like to give a huge shout out to them as well, and our coaches that dedicate their time without pay to just help to be a part of someone else's life, and some of the people don't even have kids. So it's a huge thing down there that's going on.
Right. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
I was telling our listeners that you'll be joining us every other week, so we'll see you in 2 weeks' time with another update. And of course, keep up the good success with your council.
Thank you.
And there's not an easy task. You've been in the hot seat for about 3 years now. Wow, keep it up. Better you than me, that's for sure. We're going to take a commercial break, then go straight to news at 1 o'clock. We'll be back after the newscast.
Thank you.
Earl Basin. It's now time for our health and fitness segment with Dave Wolf. Brought to you by the Argus Group and Fit for Life.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Yes, we are having that segment coming up very shortly, very momentarily. They'll be joining the new segment. Again, that is Shakir Warner of Argus Insurance and Dave Wolf. They'll be joining us today momentarily. We're just putting some connectivity together to make it all happen. So we'll be speaking with them shortly. It's kind of an interesting segment, as we mentioned during the show, that this one's going to be the topic on the workplace wellness. As we know, it's important to put things in place for Shakir's her name. Shakir. Ask for Shakir.
Shakir?
Yeah.
Okay. Step my okay.
So, excuse me. But with that said, that's what we're going to talk about today with Shakir. She's the representative of Argus Insurance. She's on the line with us right now. Since we have her hooked up, we can go straight to her. Good afternoon, Shakir. How are you?
Hi, good afternoon. How are you today?
I am fine. All is well with you?
Yes, thank you. Please forgive me, I'm a little bit out of breath because I just came from a session with Dave at Fit for Life on site. So just finished a workout, so still catching myself.
So it means she's in good shape, right? She could do that and then come on the air? What do you think, girl?
Well, let's put it like this. Talking to you about Dave, ma'am, job well done.
So that's good. And see, we were just talking about the topics that we're going to be discussing today. Just want to let our listeners know that Shakir Warner, she's a population health specialist at the Argus Group, who will be discussing things on the workplace wellness today. Just enlighten us, what's it like in place for 2019 regarding this topic here for the workforce?
Yeah, so first of all, Ian and Earl, just wanted to thank you so much for having me on today. So as you mentioned, we're going to be using this series to talk about topics and issues related to workplace wellness, work-life partnerships available to Argus Health members as part of the Argus Thrive program. And just a little bit of background about Thrive. Thrive is Argus's population health and wellness program, and it was designed to support our members in leading healthier lifestyles and also to meet them where they are in terms of their well-being journey. And whether it's kind of needing, a little bit of extra motivation to move more or more one-on-one care coordination for members living with chronic conditions. Also, another aspect of the Thrive program is that our little Thrive team, we also provide assistance to HR managers and wellness committees in helping them to get their wellness initiatives off the ground. So with that being said, these Thrive resources are a free service that basically comes along with the Argus Health Plan, whether you're an employer, employee, or a dependent.
With that said, what's the response been like? Obviously, this program has been in place for some time now, but this is still like the new year of 2019. What's the response been like thus far?
Well, it's really interesting because over the last couple of years, if you would have kind of flashed back to maybe 5 or 8 years ago, workplace wellness was not something that was kind of standard in Bermuda. It was not something that was widely done. I think there were a couple of corporate entities that were doing it, but kind of fast forward to today, workplace wellness is a part of work culture. It's something that's on the lips of HR managers, employees. We always talk about stress management and work-life balance. So workplace wellness is an easier sell today than it was maybe 5 years ago.
And that's because people are taking a better care of themselves personally, correct?
Definitely, and people are starting to realize the importance of doing so. Not just in terms of for their own well-being and their family's well-being, but the financial impact as well. So we know that if you do what you can to keep yourself healthy in the short term, over the long term, that has benefits in terms of retirement readiness. Just kind of living and basically living your best life.
And that's good. And just as you explained, just as we're doing a prelude to the show, that you just finished doing a training session with Dave Wolf. How are you able to motivate your staff and yourself to do a lunchtime program and then, obviously carry out the workload for the rest of the afternoon?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. So you've already got those people who are, pretty motivated to exercise. And then you maybe have some people who wouldn't necessarily be so motivated on their own, so they need that, they need that camaraderie, they need that, the social aspect of working out. So the fact that we're doing it as a group, we're able to hold each other accountable. Another thing that's very, very important is that, we have, some executive vice presidents and senior managers in the company participating in Reboot as well. So in a sense, it's given the staff license to participate, saying, you know what, it's okay to, within reason, obviously, and, kind of depends on what your job position is. If there is flexibility, it's not frowned upon to take a 15 minutes extra in your lunch, or, to maybe come to an internal meeting with your sneakers on. I think that the managers here are very supportive of that, which is important for workplace wellness initiatives.
Do you feel, I guess amongst the staff, do you feel as if there are department challenges when it comes to fitness?
Definitely. I mean, I think it comes down to, job positioning. I think client-facing employees, they have a bit more of a challenge in terms of, being able to participate in on-site wellness activities, because, they have to be at the front desk, they have to be on the phones, they have to be out with clients during the day. So during daytime activities can be a bit of a challenge. However, we do take that into account, and we try to make things available, after working hours, for example.
With that said, we're going to take one commercial break. Please don't leave us on. Don't hang up. I should say, we're going to come back to you, Shakir, and we're going to talk interesting and there's nothing to do with Shakir. I give her credit, and Argus and other professionals out there in our education department, from primary school to middle school to high school. Phys ed is not there anymore. You got the workplace, the wellness people in the workforce taking care of themselves now, where when you and I were growing up, it wasn't heard of in the workforce. It was always in the primary schools, the middle schools, and high schools. It's reversed now. It's kind of interesting. Let's take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll just talk more with Lady Shakira. We'll be back after this.
Come on.
And we're back here in the studio live with Shakira Water of Argus Group. Again, Shakira, credit to your team for putting this program together. I think you've done this last year regarding with Dave and your program. What's the extent of it been like for 2018 as you now move into 2019?
Myself and Argus Wellness Committee, we have started another reboot session. It's something that we got support from, but from the senior management team. But one of the things that we've recognized, when we've done our employee engagement surveys, that stress management is still a significant issue, amongst our staff. So I think this is a good segue into kind of what I really wanted to talk about today is some kind of exciting, workplace wellness trends for 2019. And the first one actually being, is talking about stress management and mental health is, creating an environment in the workplace that prioritizes self-care and mental health. So we talked about, having, on-site physical activity, but really gone are the days of these kind of one-dimensional wellness programs that's just focused on physical activity. As I mentioned before, among Argus staff and also among our clients, stress and the pace of work and uncertainty, are kind of the number one concerns. We know that regular exercise can actually, help the stress management, but I think it's time that we start having more frank and supportive conversations about mental health issues, and also giving employees the tools to take better care of their emotional well-being.
And I must admit that's a good point what you're saying, the mental aspect of it, because yes, I come from a background where I believe in the physical part would take care of my mental part. But your point is very valid regarding having the opportunity to share and talk about it. That's not an easy task for people to open up.
Yeah, agreed. And maybe it's not off the bat everyone kind of sitting in a circle and kind of spilling out their life history, but really training employees and managers to recognize warning signs, understand and explore common types of mental health issues like depression, like anxiety, and then also understanding the negative impacts of stigmatizing these conditions. I think in a lot of workspaces, in a lot of different industries, we kind of have the approach like, okay, no one wants to hear about your problems, you just kind of put your best face forward. However, if you kind of start, training employees and managers to, really understand mental health issues and also recognize that at some point, many of us in our lives will experience a mental health issue. I think if we look at it in those kind of realistic terms, I think that the mental health issues at work and at home will be less stigmatized, and you can create an environment that's more supportive of individuals.
Good point. And my question to still go into this regarding the mental aspect of it, what's it been like 3 years ago compared to now?
I think now there's a greater awareness of, mental health issues in Bermuda. I think, previously, as I said, it's just in our culture, it's not in our culture to discuss such things. These are things that we, put in a box and in the back of the closet without even addressing, even within our families. So I think there's a greater awareness of resources out in the community, such as the Bermuda Mental Health Foundation, as well as employee assistance programs like the Employee Assistance Program of Bermuda and Benedict Associates that have made themselves available to work sites, to help deal not only with kind of workplace conflicts, but things that extend beyond the workday.
With your experience, and now that you've taken this task on, what's it been like for Argus as you put this program in place from the management and from the co-worker side regarding these issues?
Well, what we've started to do is kind of what we call a Mind Your Mind campaign. So we particularly focused on 1 month, however, have activities throughout the year. But really what Mind Your Mind is about is taking the time to just focus on mental health, because I think a lot of times it's something that gets, because we're busy, we don't really think about it. We know we feel stressed, but we don't have the time or want to put the attention to, de-stressing. So the Mind Your Mind campaign, we've brought in the EAP, Employee Assistance Program, to give training to our staff about recognizing mental health issues. And then we do some other things like offer on-site massages and things like that. However, we do understand that, not all companies are able to provide that level of incentive or level of service to their employees. But it's definitely something that we've trialed inside of Argus, and when we go out to clients, we advocate a focus on mental health.
When you guys first got involved with Dave, were you a bit apprehensive about going to a class midday to see what it was going to be about?
Well, to be honest, every time I think you start out with a new class or a new trainer, I think there's some level of anxiety. Because you're meeting this person for the first time. You don't know, they may be overestimating your level of skill or level of fitness. But I think maybe after the first couple of classes, where we were able to kind of, I think, collectively understand what our expectations were and what we wanted to get out of the classes, things went on so much smoother. But of course, there's always that kind of period where you're trying to just figure it out.
Well, that's good. That's good. Well, I know you're going to be with us another 2 weeks from now. And, of course, this program is, again, brought to you by Argus. Is there any final comments you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Definitely. So, there are other things to look out for as well, including financial fitness, trends related to digital wellness or, unplugging, so, reducing your screen time, and also finally, having better snack options and food options at work. We definitely encourage you to take advantage of the free health and wellness resources either offered by your employer or through the Argus Thrive program. And of course, if any of the listeners are interested in kind of getting their company's wellness program up and running and up and off the ground, we encourage you to get in touch with us at thrive@argus.bm.
Well done. Any final comments for young Shakira?
Just looking forward to 2 weeks' time when we get an evaluation on Dave's class.
Just want to... Go ahead.
We're really excited to share even some of the outcomes of Reboot in 2018 that actually go beyond just physical fitness. Interesting stuff happened last year. We can't wait to share.
Well, thank you very much. And of course, our listeners will be thriving to listen to the information that you're going to share with Bermuda. And again, credit to your organization for putting this event on. Before we wrap up, the points that you were alluding to earlier today during the program, just can you recap that again? Because I think it's kind of important the way 2019 is going forward.
Definitely. So in terms of what's happening in terms of workplace wellness trends, I would say the number one thing is a prioritization of self-care and mental health. So moving away from these one-dimensional workplace wellness programs that solely focus on physical activity. Yes, we do understand and recognize that physical activity, done regularly is good for stress management, but really starting to have those open and honest conversations about mental health will be beneficial to employees.
Thank you. I have one more question before we wrap up, and that is, as parents and people who are born into the work world, learning their new business, their new profession, what sort of advice do you give them when they've got young ones coming along, they're in school, middle school, whatever the case may be, and they're preparing for their schedule and they got to do their professional schedule? What sort of advice do you give them to make things happen, to be better organized, to make sure that the stress is not there? Because it's there. It's definitely there.
Yeah, and I think, when we talk about stress, really what we're talking about is excess stress, or the kind of debilitating stress that, puts us in a state of paralysis. There is, a level of stress that is actually really good for people. So it means that they're engaged. It means that they're performing well. So I think, once people coming into the workforce, and actually people who've been, in the workforce for a while, can identify the triggers to those different types of stress, I think they can put themselves in a place to be, more productive and more engaged.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, we'll be joining you in 2 weeks' time from now, on the 18th, live from Argus. We'll be live 2 weeks from now at Argus.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we get to meet her in person.
Yes.
And see what it's all about, and give us more pointers on this type of topic. It's very important. It's very important.
We're coming after Dave's workout day.
Well, actually,
Welcome to join.
well, I'll be there on Monday morning at 6 o'clock. Actually, I went to Dave's class this morning, and I just leave it like that. Thank you very much. Not a problem. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time. We'll take another commercial break from Argus, and then we'll be back. We'll give you more information on Inside Sports Talk Radio. someone had on the show, it wasn't last week, saying that sports you do once a semester,
Yeah.
once, not
Yeah.
once a week, once a semester.
Yeah, that's in the senior schools, which is
Unheard of.
yeah.
Unheard of.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why.
Kids being involved in stuff
True.
in one bracket.
Or maybe they ain't got the time to put in because you're not putting it into the programs in the
Yeah,
schools.
simple
That's
as
where let's take our adult population
Mm-hmm.
and let them better themselves.
Well, they see the stress of people sitting at a desk for 8 hours,
Yeah.
meeting the demand, and a lot of these people are listening to or getting paperwork in, dealing with people who have, like she was saying, mentally stressed or physically stressed.
That's right.
So in order for you to help them, you have to help yourself. So you have the company has looked at it and said, you know what? Let's give our people an opportunity to get rid of some of that stress, whether they use exercise to be a mental stress, better help the client.
Help the client and help themselves.
Right.
Right.
So,
And yeah, everyone can't afford a gym or a
Right.
personal trainer.
Right.
So with a company like Argus, and
Mhm.
every company can't afford it either, but
right.
there's a start, and
Mhm.
you can work together
Mhm.
and put a budget together
Right.
for your staff
Mhm.
and your team. And again, credit to
You notice a lot of, especially when daylight saving kicks in, you'll start to see a lot of people doing a lot of walking, especially staff people that work together and so forth. They'll go walking after work because it's daylight until
Right.
8 or what. So you start to see that pick up after a while, but it's these times where a place like Argus is helping their staff
start now.
by starting early.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Instead of waiting to April
Yeah.
and say, "I'm
Yeah.
get ready for the summer," or
Yeah.
just get ready.
Get
Right?
ready, yeah.
You do it now.
Yeah.
You do it now.
Yeah.
So credit to
So-
them. Just moving forward to the month of March, your annual sports awards.
My annual.
Well, the committee.
Yeah.
Bermuda government's annual sports awards.
Yes, yes.
Let me put it correctly. Thank you for correcting me.
Yeah, 'cause
You're part of the committee.
yeah, I'm part of the committee.
I know.
I don't want people. Listen, I'm
kinda
gonna get
wrong.
beat up enough.
Yeah, that was wrong on my part. So,
No, that's all right.
That's all right.
That's
Cool.
That's all right.
The annual sports awards is getting away next month.
Mhm.
March is just next month.
Yeah.
Process, how's things looking, and the date?
Well, let's put it like this: the voting period has been done. We sat, we met. The good thing is that it's a well diverse amount of people that will be receiving awards this year for their accomplishments in 2018 and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
So when I left that meeting on, I think January 10th or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of felt good walking out
Good.
because I think everybody had an opportunity to voice and talk about the nominees put forward, and obviously there's going to be some disappointment
Mm-hmm.
for some, and there will be some surprises for others. So, when you get to those things, I was just surprised that there were some people not put forward, and that's always a disappointment. But it is what it is. We were presented with information, we deliberate over the information, we vote, and we move on. So, yeah.
Can you see going forward, and I put it out there every year, and again, it doesn't come on to your committee, but the change in the presentation of voting for, or nominating, I'm sorry, for an athlete, can you see that changing anytime soon?
Yes and no.
Mm.
We did in the meeting decide we wanted to, as a committee, get together before the nomination forms go out, because if there's going to be any change,
Right.
it's got to be like the committee has to agree what
For
they're
the
going to.
amendments,
Yeah,
right.
right. So there was some discussion that we will take up prior to the information going out next time with the changes. And to be honest, it makes it, for the committee's sake, it's very hard for a committee member to nominate someone, and I'll explain why. If I nominate you, when it comes around to deliberation and or the vote, realistically I should excuse myself from it,
Ah.
because I've already made up my mind by putting you forward that I want you to get something.
Fair enough.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep.
So that's why it's very difficult for committee members, and whenever somebody comes up, if you have a vested interest in the person or you're related to you kind of back off from voting. So it keeps it all clean and you know what I mean, and we respect each other's views around the table. So that's why it's very difficult for the committee to put somebody forward,
Right.
a committee member to put somebody forward. The other problem that you would have is that if the entire committee put forward, say, a male,
Mhm.
who's around to vote for the male athlete of the year, because if everybody picked somebody different
Right.
and put the name forward, we'll be in trouble, because when it comes down to voting, who's there to vote?
Who's there to vote? Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So we have to. The committee decides on the information put forth, not the amount of time somebody is voted for. It's the information in which you're debating on. Because I go in there sometimes and I'm reading stuff and I'm saying, well, this is missing, and then I would say, oh, I didn't realize that, or I missed it, or I forgot about it. So when you get down to deliberating, you'll say, did you guys realize this person accomplished this, this, and this? What was the level in which the competition? What was the scale of the event, and so forth? And then you everybody has a say, and then you it's vote by you put yours down on a piece of paper. They put everything sealed, and away you go, and it's tallied up, and the person with the most votes at the end of the day is gets the awards. So.
Fair enough. Final question before we go to commercial breaks. We have Cal Simons join us shortly thereafter.
Okay.
The date in March, has that been set?
21st. It's a Thursday night.
Oh, it's a Thursday night?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, it is. 21st.
Yeah.
And what time?
I believe 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. at Fairmount, Southampton.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's not past my bedtime.
Well, yeah, it's past mine, but
You sure?
I can make that exception.
But you'll wake up again.
No, not nowadays. Not nowadays, mate.
All right. Getting wiser.
That clock has been changed.
As we say in it's been edited on?
Yeah.
All right, cool. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll speak to Mr. Cal Simons.
Talk Radio. Inside Sports Talk Radio on Power 95 FM with host Ian Rollins and co-host Earl Bayston.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Joining us on the line is the race director for the Skyport Magic Mile. As we all know, it used to be called the Telford Electric Magic Mile, now called the Skyport Magic Mile. They had a press conference a few weeks ago to announce a new sponsor. Skyport has come on board to sponsor the event. They want to get this year out of the way, and they were talking about multiple years of sponsorship for this event. But Mr. Simons, this is one of the featured events on the calendar when it comes to track and field. How are things shaping up thus far with number-wise?
Good afternoon, Ian and Ryan. Earl, hey man, things are good.
Real for me, hey man.
All the information on the school, information is up on online registration. www.racedayworld.com. We're planning to really do a major push to promote the event over the next 2 weeks. As we said earlier in the press conference, the Pacers are just excited to be in partnership with Skyport to be able to hold this event.
This one is well supported, especially when it's the primary school students right through. What is so special about this particular event?
Earl, I would have to say that it's our organization. From our point of view in the club, we try to run an event that's extremely organized, that is very safe, and we give out pretty good prizes as well. You know what I mean? I think the kids that run the event will get a specially designed Skyport T-shirt. All of those that finish, and also the schools this year, we were able to bring back the school competition, for the preschools, primary schools, and middle schools, like we had it before. So we're just hoping that the schools jump on and take advantage of this. As you know, there is a $200 prize for those particular school divisions, and we're just glad that Skyport was able to make this happen for us.
Just so parents know when registering, is there a rain date already scheduled?
Yeah, there is. In actual fact, the rain date is the following Saturday, which is March the 2nd, and that's at the National Stadium. Of course, the event starts at 12 o'clock, and we try to start right on time. We have the 6 or 7 different age groups from the 4-year-olds up to the 13 to 15-year-olds. And we have so many heats, particularly in the 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, and 7-year-olds. So, we give medals out to the top 3 in each heat, and we go from there. So it's coming, and we're excited. We're excited about having the event. I'm overly healed about pushing this event and seeing if we can get the numbers back up to 700 or 800 or 900 as we did in the past.
From years gone by, we've seen, because it's almost near the cutoff date for Carifta qualifiers. You guys have been able to slip some 100 or 200 meter events in there. Is that still available if time permits?
Oh yeah. We'll just make it happen. For us, it's important for us to showcase those athletes during that event that are trying out for Carifta. And if we get most times we have a really beautiful day for that event, so it gives the athletes an opportunity to come up and maybe run a 100. Or maybe a 200, or possibly even a 400, between some of the events that maybe go out into the Arboretum. So we have an event like the 8 or 9 girls, they go out into the Arboretum, and we're able to maybe throw in an event there. So that's something that the spectators could see, the Bermuda public can see, and it gives those kids that are crying out for Carifta an opportunity to run in front of a very large crowd.
One thing, we get a lot of kids taking part, but give some advice to the parents. How much time before the race should the kid be getting something to eat? What is the night before prep? What is the morning of prep? Because we see a lot of kids getting sick because they've just eaten on the way to the race and so forth. So give the parents some tips on what they should be eating, what time they should be eating, and so forth, preparing for their race.
Yeah, well, the fact that the event starts at 12, the kids could get up and get a regular breakfast, nothing too heavy. You know what I mean? But see, young kids, their digestive system works a lot better than other guys. But, you know, they want to come in and make sure that they have plenty of water during the day, you know what I mean, or plenty of water leading up to the day. They don't want to come up and an event is scheduled for 12:30, 1 o'clock, and they're eating at 1:45 French fries or chicken wings and all that kind of stuff, because that's what happens. You know, I think the kids get up there and they may have been involved in something else. It could be anything from ballet to football in the morning, and the parents say, oh, well, they're hungry. Let me get them something to eat. You know, sometimes it's best to maybe give them a granola bar or something else, you know, versus that heavy food that would sit in the stomach for a little while before they have to run. So, you know, they want to make sure that the kids get a good breakfast because they have plenty of time, and make sure that they have taking in water, because it's important, you know?
As you outlined the nutrition plan there, Mr. Simons, do you continually pass on this information? Because back in the day when you were coming along and Earl and everybody else was coming along, nutrition wasn't as significant as it is now. We talked about the fitness of it, but your point is so valid that if some kid, or I shouldn't say kid, an athlete was competing at 12:30, yeah, at 11:45 they want to eat French fries, a hamburger, a hot dog.
It's available.
It's available. Is it the best way forward? If yes, we know it's there, you don't have to cook it, but it's best to prep your meals, like you mentioned, a granola bar, a salad, you know, that can help the athlete prepare for their next event. Do you give that type of advice to the upcoming athletes?
Well, within our track club, we do. Like, for example, you know, if I'm talking outside of the Skyfoot mile, I mean, for our track athletes, they know that they need to eat properly, they need to be hydrated. You know, for some of the kids that are coming up for the Skyfoot, you know, a lot of those young kids, you know, the parents are getting up, here you go, the bowl of cereal, and, you know, this is something they eat. You know, I would just encourage them not to eat heavy, you know what I mean, if they're going to run. But some of them may have been involved in football, so they may be hungry after it, you know what I mean, but they want to get a good breakfast before the activity so they have plenty of time, so they're not going to get sick. And the food is not, like, they're not eating like 15 minutes before they're ready, because that's not going to be a good experience for them.
I don't think it'd be a good experience for anybody. There were some other things that you want to touch on today, Mr. Simons. Do you care to enlighten us with it?
Oh, you know, we're pretty excited in the track club because this year the club has made a push because, you know, we're trying to get our athletes into as many international competitions as possible. As you're aware, and the Earl's aware, in December we took our kids down to the AAU Cross Country Championships, and that was in Tennessee. And in 2 weeks we're going to be taking 16 athletes up to the Armory in New York to compete in the indoor meet there. And of course, out of the 16, at least 14 of them are Carifta age athletes, and we're hoping that, you know, they'll be able to go up there and get good competition and maybe even qualify for Carifta this year.
How are you able to put these international, I say international because we're overseas for these events, for our young athletes as they prepare for Carifta and other events of their magnitude? How are you able to put it all together?
Well, without the support of the parents, it would not happen. I mean, I think one of the things that we do at the beginning of the season is to tell the parents these are our plans. You know, our plans are to do a cross-country event, to do an indoor event. You know, we're planning to go to Canada or to the East Coast. You know, so the parents have to get involved when it comes to fundraising. You know, we established our fundraising committee in the club, so they're doing extremely well. You know, we try to go out to corporate sponsors to see if they can help us, you know what I mean? And we've been fortunate enough sometimes to get 1 or 2 corporate sponsors to come in and donate funds towards the kids, towards our travel accommodations. But the parents play a large part in what happens, you know, and the coaches as well, because they are also involved in this whole fundraising experience. I mean, we could not do it in the 38 years that I've been involved in the Pacers. We would not be able to do this without the parents. The parents have to be involved. They're a major key in what we do.
Understood, sir. Any final comments you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Well, I just want to encourage the kids to go out, the parents to go out. I know this is the last week of school. The registration forms are in school. You know, I want to encourage the parents to go, stop at the sports center in Washington Mall, or go up on the online registration. Register the kids for the Skyport Magic Mile. You know, the deadline date is on I think it's the 19th, Tuesday the 19th. So you want to go there and register. We do not take any registrations at the event. It's just too challenging for us because, if we have 700 or 800 kids coming, and those races are already kind of been put together. So it's very difficult to kind of add new kids on the day. It's extremely difficult for us. Go and get registered, and let's just enjoy this great experience.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Simons. We look forward. Sorry, you want to say something?
No, yeah, okay, that's fine. I'll dare to say something else, but I know we're working on something else, and we can make that happen, next week, hopefully.
Because it's you, go right ahead. Share it.
So I just want to thank Skyport for supporting us. You know what I mean? I want to thank Telford Industries and Telford Electric. Over the past 23 years, this event could not happen for that long without our relationship with Telford. And I think it's important, and we feel in the club that we are extremely grateful to Telford Industries and Telford Electric and the Telford family for supporting the club as they have over the past 23 years. Yeah.
Not a problem. Thank you, sir. We look forward to having you on next week. I appreciate your time and efforts.
I think you guys have a great day. I know you enjoyed the Super Bowl last night because my team won. Anyway, I'll leave that.
You got jokes. You got jokes. No, I didn't enjoy the Super Bowl. My team didn't even make the playoffs.
What can I say, brother? What can I say? You know what I mean? But it was a very defensive game, and I'll leave it on that note.
All right, sir. I know. Yeah, but you meant university in Cincinnati or Ohio or something of that sort. How the heck did you pick New England Patriots? And you should be supporting the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, I mean, I like the Cleveland Browns too, brother. So, but I don't know. I don't know. Something I got hooked up in. I guess it all happened around my relationship with Tottenham Hotspur. So I can't go any further than that.
Oh boy.
Oh dear. Yeah. Okay. Well, I need my 3 points there. I'll leave it at that for you. All right.
You're watching your team,
Yeah. Yeah, Liverpool, we never walk alone. I tell you what, I'm recording it. I'll give you a copy when we win tonight. All right. Cool. Enjoy the rest of your day. No, thank you. Before we wrap up today, just giving you a breaking story. It's just come in, and I'm sure you've all heard about it now. Young and the Restless actor Christophe St. John dead at 52. Young and the Restless actor Christophe St. John has died at the age of 52. Officials say Los Angeles police were called to his home on Sunday, and his body was turned over to the Los Angeles County coroner. The cause of death was not available. As you know, he was the gentleman who played Neil Winters on the CBS soap opera Young and the Restless, as we bring it on twice a day. 1:30 in the afternoon and again at 6 this evening. So that's the big story regarding the soap opera. Unfortunate death of Mr. Christopher St. John, dead at 52 in Los Angeles. His body was found yesterday. I'm sure more information will be available as it comes. Again, he's the actor on Young and the Restless, dead at age 52. We'll take a commercial break and be back after this.
Inside Sports Talk Radio on Power 95 FM with host Ian Rollins and co-host Earl Bayston.
Just want to let our listeners know before we wrap up that the show will be rebroadcast this evening at 9 o'clock on Power 95. And again on IslandStats.com website. Earl carries the today's show for about 4 or 5 days on his website. So if you miss it, tune in to IslandStats.com. And tonight on Power 95, rebroadcast at 9 p.m. Just final wrap up again. Liverpool will play West Ham this evening. I need my 3 points, Mr. Bayston, to stay 5 points ahead of Man City.
You need to go back to 5 points.
To stay ahead, yeah, well, close back, yeah, correct, yeah,
Well, good luck.
Thank you. I need it.
Yeah,
I need Indian dance.
Hopefully there's no snow because the coach blamed the snow when your last loss. I mean, sorry, your draw last week.
He did?
Yeah, he came out and said it was due to the snow that it was a draw. You didn't see those headlines?
No.
I'll show it to you.
I don't want to see that one.
We drew Leicester because it was snowing. Well, Leicester was playing on the side of the field that it weren't snowing.
Well,
and Liverpool was playing, and then halftime it switched.
Yeah. That fall, but anyway, it's part of the game. I don't worry about it. Hey, I got a point. Right? Five is better than 4.
Right.
7 is greater than 5.
Yeah.
That's how I put it that way, right? Yeah. So we leave it like that. I have to see what happens. The big game this weekend is Man City and Chelsea. I'm a Chelsea fan for this weekend.
Oh, Man City. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Because Chelsea beat them early this year, 1-0.
Right. So but and they look like they're coming out of that manager player struggle after last weekend.
Last 2 weekends, right?
Yeah. Well, this weekend they were able to
5-0.
Yeah.
Like so, Huddersfield, right?
But winning tends to cover up a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Covers up a lot of mistakes.
If they can manage to put together and remember, the players have a lot of pride too.
Some do, some don't.
Well, let's put it like this. City won the league last year, right?
Yeah.
Who was the team that won the league prior to City winning the league?
Hang on. What's the name?
Leicester. Right. And weren't Chelsea one of those teams always pushing? They're not gonna want that. They're not gonna want to hand it to anyone. So and they still have Liverpool to play. Chelsea.
Yeah.
So they're gonna want to have a say in who wins the league.
Them and Man United.
Yeah.
Because they were in the top 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's all it'll be.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you next week, bro.
Yes, indeed.
Don Bassett, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day, bro.
Thank you.
All right.
You as well.
Cool.